The following is a Cheeky Leprechaun production.
Pop culture is the entirety of ideas.
Me, Mario.
Let the bass kick.
I am the greatest.
Holy eggshell!
I am your father. This is the Pop Culture Report with Dan O'Kelly.
Alrighty, welcome back. Pop Culture Report. Dan O'Kelly still here with you. How you doing out there? You good? It's, well, yeah, I don't know. Depending where in the world you are, it could be different. But here in Melbourne, Australia, mild isolation. It sort of hasn't gone into full effect, but, you know, we're in lockdown as much as possible, sort of, you know, bunkering down, if you will. It's been a red hot minute since I've done a podcast. For some reason, missed a week last week. Look, the environment in which I record, it's ever changing at the minute, given the people I live with, my family, you know, various members, you know, either not working at the moment, working from home. The study in which the podcast is recorded, little insight, little peek behind the curtain, if you will, is overrun. To be completely honest with you, overrun with people, you know, phone calls being made, computers, you know, rumbling. I'm not sure where I pulled that from. My computer's pretty loud, but they're rumbling. And then you got phones going off, you know, bing, emails, dogs barking like that. I mean, that's constant anyway on the podcast, let's be honest. It's a home job. But anyway, I've got a little bit of time today, so I've jumped on and I've sort of, to be honest, I've laid out some ground rules. I've said, look, you know, you guys are now coming into my work environment, okay? The podcast was here before Corona was. You guys were at your offices on these weekdays where it would be recorded, which I would do out of the goodness of my heart so I wasn't putting anyone else out when they'd come home from work, you know? So here I am being all, you know, very conscious of everyone else's, you know, happenings and doings in their lives when they get home from work. You know, work's now out the window. People are working from home or not working. Suddenly, the podcast doesn't matter. So, no. I said no. I put my foot down. Moral of the story is we should have a nice, seamless transition now into isolation podcast recording, I would think. So what's been happening? Today, at time of recording, is April 1, again, in Australia. Never really thought, I mean, let's be honest, pop culture, April Fools. It's a bit of a pop culture thing that happens once a year. You try and get people with a bit of, gotcha, April Fools. That's happening, and never did I realise how inconsiderate and inappropriate, almost, April Fools could be during a pandemic. It really is. It hasn't gone well so far. People are calling for it to be cancelled. You know, no more April Fools, which I'm not sure how you police that when you can hardly police, you know, keeping people indoors, keeping people off the beaches, off the park gyms. How are we meant to police people not doing April Fools? I've seen some pearlers, but at the same time, some concerning ones. You know, The Simpsons, after 32 years, was cancelled due to coronavirus. Believe that for a split second. Clicked into it. It was like Cyber News. Gotcha. That was the website or some shit. What else have I seen? Oh, goodness. Robert Downey Jr. will return as Iron Man. What? Gotcha. Okay, good. Rick and Morty will never return due to coronavirus. Again, should have seen it after what I saw with the Simpsons one, but it caught my eye. Someone actually just went as far as saying, good news, everyone, we can go outside again, coronavirus is over. That one I picked up on a little quicker because I was like, well, you know, you'd think you'd hear that probably from the Prime Minister first. So there's plenty of people out there that are sort of, you know, taken a few liberties with the old April Fools, not really understanding the significance of the world around us at this point in time, but, you got to have your fun in isolation. If it's giving people something to do, it's giving them something to do. That's all that matters. So, we've all been trying to keep busy as much as we can. I've got a little bit of, something to look forward to come the weekend. It's WrestleMania season. WrestleMania, yeah. I might try and get an episode up of in some way, some description regarding WrestleMania. I won't bore you all with it. That way, for those that are interested, or maybe just looking for something to get interested in during this pandemic, let's be honest, it's the only form of sport out there. Nothing's really playing at the moment. Yet the wrestling just seem to have their own rules. They're still going. So I might try and get up a wrestling/WrestleMania episode in the coming days, but that's on this weekend. 2-night event. How crazy. Footy teams across the world, basketball teams can't even play one night. The wrestling, they're going, no, we're going to do a 2-night event. No crowds, obviously. That would be silly. But yeah, regardless, WrestleMania, which is in its 36th year, this will be WrestleMania 36, will go ahead. The old man, Vince McMahon, won't let that one die. So I've got that to look forward to. It's important to have these little things to look forward to at the moment. I also watched the first episode of Tiger King. Goodness gracious me. Now, I watched the first episode with Georgia, and she was entertained hesitantly. I don't think she wanted to support the whole thing. She was kind of like, this guy is a Fruit Loop, and I'm not sure if this is how I want to spend my time learning about him. But is everyone sort of across Tiger King. Lion King. Good movie, but not what I'm talking about. I think that's what the documentary is called. Tiger King. Yeah, Tiger King. Murder, Mayhem, and Madness is the documentary on Netflix. I tell you, I'm only one episode in, and I'll do more in depth about this at some point. But early on, it's the title is perfect. Murder, Mayhem, and Madness. You feel like you're in this. I'm not even quite sure. It feels like you know Louis Theroux, or however you want to say his name, the documentarian. Fascinating guy, makes really great documentaries about people that you just find yourself absolutely gobsmacked exist. You're like, what? People live this way? What? It feels like one of his documentaries, which is great. It's a well-made documentary. But, holy crap, to think that somebody existed like this, if you're not familiar with it, how do you begin to capture this documentary? Here's what I thought about it when I first saw the trailer for the doc. It was going viral and people were like, what the hell is this new Netflix documentary? I was like, what is this? Clicked on it. Started off, he's a wacko. Straight up wacko. He has a tiger sanctuary, big cat sanctuary in America. One of those ones where it's kind of like, is what they do legal? I'm not too sure. This feels very wrong, and a lot of poor treatment of these poor animals. Not great living conditions. And I was watching, I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. It's sort of about, the fight between activists and these people that are big cat sanctuary owners. I got it. And I was like, oh, the main guy, this big cat owner, he's a weird unit. Like, he's got a blonde mullet and very over-the-top, flamboyant, covered in tats. Apparently a country singer as well, released an album. Sort of one of those ones where you're like, is he singing that? It's now since come out. He doesn't sing any of the songs in there. That's not a spoiler. That's gone viral. So if you haven't seen that, not sure what you're doing on social media. Anyway, I was interested in the documentary from the trailer, but as the trailer went on, the second half of the trailer literally spiraled into madness. Suddenly they're talking about murder and the battle between this guy, this big cat owner, and this activist woman, and the propaganda campaigns and everything between the two. I was like, hang on, Christ. Murder, mayhem, madness. Yeah, this trailer is chaos. Go watch the trailer. You'll quickly see what I'm talking about. I found myself going, okay, I actually don't think I quite know what this is about, this documentary. Anyway, watch the first episode. Really entertaining. The cast in it, they're not a cast. These are real people. Doc Antle, I think his name was. He's another one of the big cat owners in it, and he presents as sort of like a Lex Luthor type character. Totally evil, intentions totally in the wrong place, and nothing but self-serving for himself, all about money, but also quite savvy. He's far more intelligent than the other guy. Have we learnt yet that I'm not great with names? I think we're pretty much there. Joe Exotic. All right, so this is all on Joe Exotic, this whole thing. But Doc Andel, or whatever his name is, he's just another big cat owner, one of the two in the documentary that's sort of the main vocal point. He is sort of the opposite to Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic's this big over-the-top character, not a great business operator, sort of everything's on the low end, sort of scaled back so expenses are low, profits are, well, as high as they can be, but never puts the money back into the enclosures to try and make it actually, appealing to a tiger, if that would be appealing to a tiger. Whereas this Doc guy, he's almost like an evil genius. He presents a very deliberate image of himself to the public and the media. He wants to come off as this intelligent, well thought out, nice and family-oriented park operator where, this is great for not only the lions and the tigers, but for you, the people, because, we care about you. Charges people an arm and a leg for entry. So it's fascinating seeing the polar opposites of these two characters. Joe Exotic, he changed his last name to be Exotic. Does that not say enough? I think it kind of does. Go watch it. Again, only one episode in, so I'll talk more about it once I know more about it. But the first episode gives you an introduction to sort of each of the characters, and by the end you're kind of like, yeah, wow, okay, I'm in. I kind of need to know what happens next. So when you're in ISO, give that a go. What else? I'm actually in a bit of a... find myself in a little arm wrestle with my interest of pop vinyls. Pop vinyl figures, if you're familiar. Sort of the, what are they called? The Funko Pops. That's it. I like a figurine, a statue, if you will. I've got a nice, you've probably seen them in other episodes, I've got a nice Superman, nice big statue. I like them to be, well, this is what I'm wrestling with, right? So these Funko Pops, the pop vinyls, they're more in my price range, okay? They're more affordable for people, and I understand that's the idea of them. The idea is, oh, look, how good's this? You can have your favorite characters on your desk or, in your bedroom or wherever you want them, all for an affordable price of, here in Australia, they're roughly like $18 to $20 for a little pop vinyl, okay? I'll probably put something up on YouTube about this, just to give you an idea of what I'm dealing with, what I'm wrestling with, and what these things look like if you're not familiar with them. Yeah, I'm just looking at the ones I've got here now. I was looking at them in a shop the other day. I've got a Joker one, which is kind of cool. Mind you, it's the Jared Leto Joker. Not huge on it, but I've got the Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie type design as well of the pop vinyl. It feels weird to say, but, attractive. I think just because I know it's Margot Robbie. So that's good. But they don't look like the characters. Yes, they could have their likeness. I like things to be, accurate, really lifelike. I want to look at my characters and go, look, God, that looks like Ben Affleck as Batman, doesn't it? God, look at Henry Cavill's Superman. It looks exactly like Henry. So I don't know. Yet I look at other things, like I've got the Friends characters. I got two of those. And I've got Ross and I've got Chandler. And they've got, certain... You'd probably think to yourself, well, how do you make Ross and Chandler look like Ross and Chandler. They just wear average clothes. Well, no, they've picked, certain iconic scenes and that sort of thing, and they've dressed them in that. Like Monica is a chef. Phoebe has a guitar. Rachel is in her waitress outfit at Central Perk. So there's sort of, there is ways to make them look like the character. But I just don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on the pop vinyl. But again, the affordability. It's kind of, I don't know. Anyway, that's just a thought that I had off the top of my head. What else is happening in the world of pop culture? Well, Tom Hanks has recovered from COVID-19, which was very exciting. It is. It's exciting. I mean, it's not. You're not going to go home. You're not going to write home about it. You might get on your podcast about it, but you won't write home about it. But I think it is important to remember Tom Hanks is a national treasure. Now, with all the Tom Hanks hoopla and whatnot, I did find myself the other night thinking, maybe I'll watch a Tom Hanks movie. Tom Hanks he's captivating. He's a great actor. He's one of the best actors of a generation. And I said to Georgia, I said, look, what about a Tom Hanks movie tonight? She was on board. And she said, I just added one to my list, my Netflix list the other day. Well, let's watch that. Yeah, all right, cool. What are we watching? You've Got Mail is what we watched. Wasn't exactly Saving Private Ryan or, even The Terminal. Terminal's a great movie. Great Tom Hanks movie. But I thought, all right, I've never seen You've Got Mail. And it is, look, if we're going to sit here talking pop culture and especially the rom-coms of pop culture, You've Got Mail's right up there. It's Tom, it's Meg Ryan, 90s. I got to be honest, it was quite good. You've Got Mail delivered in spades. I was surprised. I had no real idea going in what it was going to be about, other than the fact of, obviously, it's people who are communicating over email. Now, it's the 90s. It's back in the era of dial-up internet. Might be some people listening to this have no idea what dial-up internet is. I, for one, was vague on my memory of it. I mean, I knew the sounds, let me see if I can find the sound. But, everyone remembers the beeping of the dial-up internet and sort of watching the sort of emblems on the screen as it was, the internet trying to connect via the... God, it's hard to even explain what these dial-up emblems are in this era. Here we go, ready? Dial-up internet sound effect. Here we go. Ready? You're gonna know it straight away. Here we go. Yeah. Remember that? There was plenty of that. Oh, still going. Plenty of that in You've Got Mail. And it's like a time machine, that movie. It's so heavily based around the internet that it feels like it should be more relevant than what it is. You could absolutely remake You've Got Mail today. It'd probably be like Messenger, or it would be Tinder. Let's be honest. What we were watching in You've Got Mail is essentially two people that meet on a virtual chat room. Virtual chat room. Can you believe there was a time where that's what they called it? A virtual chat room. Anyway, it's a love story, but can't believe I was even going to say that. An unconventional one. They're all unconventional in a Hollywood rom-com, aren't they? That's the idea, sort of, isn't it? The hope that it can work for anyone. Anyone can make it work. It's an unconventional rom-com. Essentially, it's about a small bookshop owner. You've probably seen it. This movie came out probably pushing 30 years ago now. Small bookshop owner, little boutique bookshop, and that's Meg. That's Meg Ryan. And then you've got the big bookshop, the big mainstream bookshop, sort of like a Dimmicks here in Australia or something like that. Those bookshops that are able to do the discounted rates. And it puts the little guy out of business a little bit, doesn't it? So you've got that. And guess who owns that? Tom. That's Tom Hanks's character. Don't remember the characters' names, it's not important. We go by Meg and Tom. Anyway, and so what happens is they've met in this virtual room because they're the love story, but they have no idea who each other are. They've got this strict rule because actually, to be honest, at the start, there's a little bit of infidelity. They're both in relationships and they're having this virtual relationship with each other while they're actually in other relationships with other people. So you start feeling a little bit weird about that at the start. You're like, well, I'm starting to judge them both a little bit. And not to mention, Greg Kinnear is one of the... he's the boyfriend of Meg Ryan. And I've got to be honest, I love Greg Kinnear. Granted, he usually plays the asshole, bad husband or boyfriend, but it doesn't change the fact Greg Kinnear is likable as hell. In my world, anyway. But as the movie goes on, they train you to not like these partners because that's the idea, isn't it? By the end of it, you should be sitting there going, look, I want these two together. That's the aim. That's what we want. That's what we're here for. But they make you work for it. Absolutely, they make you work for it. You sort of see Tom Hanks' character is a bit of an asshole throughout the movie. He does get caught up in being that corporate douchebag at certain points where he doesn't care about... He sees business as dog eat dog. He's going to go out there. He will take out the competition, big or small, mum and pop store or whatever they call them, or, another big company. He doesn't care. And it happens to be that he has a new rival in town, which is Meg Ryan's character, because she is going to fight the big company that's coming in to take over her territory of her bookstore. And she doesn't realise that it's the love of her life, Tom Hanks, who she met on the chat room where they bonded over a certain, nerdy book. Georgia knew what it was, I didn't. It's very stressful at times, because then they meet up, or they organise to meet up, and he goes to walk in and he's like, holy crap, it's her. I hate her. And then, yeah. It was a whole thing. Really good, though. Really good movie. So I watched that in ISO. That was something I watched. It's good to see Tom Hanks on the mend. On the mend. It's important that people are seeing, positive, good news stories about people recovering from coronavirus. And it was good that it was Tom because, people love Tom Hanks. So go watch a Tom Hanks movie. Celebrate the man that is still here with us today. What else? The Office. Arguably my favourite TV show of all time. Here's the thing. I was, for a long time, one of those people that go, oh, it's the UK Office or it's nothing. Don't even talk to me. I don't want to hear it. But over time, after watching, over and over again, the US Office, and I'm talking over and over and over again, it really dawned on me that I can't say that that's not my favourite version of the show. Yes, everyone wants to be highbrow. Everyone wants to be, a bit more smart than everyone else. And, the UK is a smarter show. I don't care what anyone says. The US Office is the best and easiest show and most feel-good show to watch out there, I would dare say. Here's why. This is my opinion on it, right? So you could absolutely say, well, what about Friends? What about Seinfeld? Yeah, of course, they're great shows. You know what makes The Office great? Is it takes something that we all hate, that we're all sort of brought up to hate. It's ingrained in us that you shouldn't like going to work, especially those that work in an office. It takes something that we have such negative connotations with and puts a positivity on it. Something that makes you want to go there. Something that makes you look at the office, your own office, this office that is in the show, in a different way, in a different light, that makes you maybe even be able to find a new appreciation for your workplace. Because let's be honest, you look at Friends. What's that about? It's about hanging out with your friends. Yeah, okay, we all love that. That's why you love Friends, because you almost form a friendship in watching these characters. Yeah, that's great. And they're all doing things that you would do with your friends. So what's not to love about that? It's easy to watch. It's relatable. Same with Seinfeld. Same with, Will and Grace, if that's what floats your boat. I don't know. Any of those shows. The Office takes a setting which you are so caught up in always having to hate, and then just changes it. Makes you sort of maybe look at your boss and go, God, he is a bit like Michael Scott, isn't he? God, I can't believe he said that. Can't believe he said that racist thing. That's just something Michael Scott would say. Taking a negative and putting it in a slight positive, to help you cope with it a little bit easier because everyone has to go there. Everyone's going to these offices all the time. It's no good. That's what I love about The Office. And 15-year anniversary was celebrated this week. If you haven't seen it, I recommend going on YouTube, typing in John Krasinski, who played Jim in The Office and has since become a friggin' just an absolute... Well, he's a heartthrob, isn't he? Even I'm into him. Georgia loves him. You know, he's jacked now. But yeah, he played Jim on The Office. He plays Jack Ryan now. He's made quite a career for himself. He's directing, he directed A Quiet Place as well as started it, and he's directing the sequel. He's doing all kinds of things. And he caught up with his old mate, Steve Carell, aka Michael Scott, and they caught up. So what John Krasinski's doing at the moment, and this absolutely trickles into a bit of pop culture, with everything going on in the world, it's terrible out there. All you hear on the news is just negative. All right, it's almost at a point where you're better off not watching the news, just waiting for those PM updates, just to keep you across what you need to know. Anyway, John Krasinski, because he's such a friggin' fun-loving, happy-go-lucky guy, goes, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start an internet series called Some Good News, or SGN, and I'm just going to talk about good things, happy things, make people happy. And to help him out, he had his old mate, Steve Carell, jump on, a little bit of a Skype setup, or maybe even what's that, Zoom. Maybe a Zoom little chat they had. And it was awesome, because you got to see, not only were they celebrating 15 years of The Office, but you got to see Jim and Michael, or, John and Steve, just talking about, the good old days. The good old days of The Office, Remember this? Remember that? And they spoke about things like, remember that episode we filmed when, you were leaving, Steve, and it took us 17 takes before we could actually do a take where we were actually able to make some sense out of the words we were saying as we were just crying uncontrollably. Like, those little insights were really fun to see. So, yeah, put it this way. 15-year anniversary of The Office. Tom Hanks is, corona-free. You've got plenty of time in ISO. Go watch, The Office. It's something uplifting, something a bit more fun. Go watch a Tom Hanks movie. Celebrate the fact he's still here, he's still healthy, he's still kicking. There's some good things coming out of the world at the moment, people. Don't forget that. And check out John Krasinski's SGN. Some good news. It's on YouTube. It's good. Fun stuff. All right, I reckon I've spoken long enough. I will chat to you another time. And don't forget, keep on top of your watch list. Keep yourself entertained. Keep yourself busy. Keep yourself consuming all things pop culture, because that's how we keep saying. Have a good week.
This has been a Cheeky Leprechaun production.